Hi. Hi guys. I feel like we're too far. It's been so long. Let me like get you closer. Welcome to my channel if you are new, which I'm sure people who are watching this are not, because the algorithm hates it when people leave forever and come back on YouTube. But if you are new, welcome. My name is Marina. If you are not new, welcome back to my channel. I've been gone all summer and I feel like I should explain myself, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that before I kickstart this video, because as much as I do want to talk about the books I've been reading, I think you guys deserve an explanation. Because even before I've been gone the past few months, I was on and off a lot in like the months of April and May. So let's discuss. Depression. Mental health is important, and mine was depleting really bad. I think I mentioned this once or twice on the channel, like leading up to it, but my seasonal depression in summer is not to be played with. It's more so like a fuck around and find out type of deal. I really thought that I could make videos, like just turn on the camera, make a video and go about my life. And then as soon as like the weather got better, the sun was out, it went up to 80 degrees, something about my body just depleted, my mindset just depleted, and I did not want to do a single thing in my day-to-day life, let alone make a video, edit it, put it out for the world to see, because I really did not want to be seen, period. So yeah, I was feeling it a lot in April and May, but I thought I could get through it. I was wrong. But also, once summer hit, I was very busy. Guys, a majority of the summer, I've just been traveling like out of town for concerts. I haven't been in my home to film anything. If I'm being honest, even when I was away, I wasn't filming anything. Like most of you guys know, I have another vlog channel. Nothing I've been doing has been posted on that channel. I wasn't vlogging. I was just trying to kind of like, again, stay offline because I didn't feel like traveling or doing anything. But at that point, concerts were my only boost of dopamine and serotonin. So it definitely worked, but because I was moving around a lot, like specifically in the months of June and July, I was not reading anything, and I feel like I can't make videos for this channel if I'm not reading, because hi, I'm Marina, I make bookish content, I read, allegedly. Allegedly I read. I haven't been doing that, so I didn't want to give you guys videos that were just gonna be like, excuse my French, but bullshit. I didn't want to do that, so I wanted to come back by the time I've read a decent amount of stuff. So I spent a majority of August reading, and I'm sure I'm gonna title it like all the books I read in the summer, but like the summer meaning just August. Like most of these books were read in August, but I feel like every book I read in the summer, like that's such a cooler title. Some of these books, again, most are in August, but there are like one or two that are from like June and July when I was trying to actually pick up a book and read. And again, failed, but those books did get done nonetheless, you know? So with all that being said, hi, I'm glad to be back. I hope we can get back on track. Like I feel better. I'm actually reading. I turned on the camera, so that's a start. And yeah, we're in my favorite part of the year. I love fall so much. Fall is like my peak reading season, okay? So I'm really feeling up to the task of, one, getting to my reading goal, because as you guys know, my reading goal is to read 50 books. I'm in like the 30-ish range right now, which I'm okay with because it's still doable to get to my goal. But again, if it weren't for summer, I would be like probably already completed it. I'm actually very upset, but I can do it. I can do it. And I also feel like fall is the right time to start reading like cozy books, and I feel like those are what I need to get me back into my reading. I'm happy to be back. I'm ready to start this, and I hope that you guys are ready too and excited like I am, because I'm back. So yeah, let's do this. Let me check my story graph for all the books I've been reading. Why am I getting like 11 messages? Whoa. So again, we're gonna start off with the one book I read in June, and it was actually a manga, because I was in the mindset that I only felt like reading manga, and then I didn't read any other manga for the rest of the month. So anyway, the manga that I read is Hirayasumi Volume 1 by Kiego Shinzu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sure I'm butchering it, and I feel really bad. I was recommended this by my coworker who was reading the series at that time, and she was like, I need you to read this because I have no one else to talk about it with. And I was like, you know what? because I can't pick up any other book to save my life, maybe manga is where my head is at, you know? And though I didn't end up reading the rest of the series like her, I definitely would pick this back up again. I ended up giving this volume 5 stars. This was like unheard of, okay? Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, I think I brought this up in my last reading wrap up. I've been having such a hard time finding 5-star reads this year. Like, I've barely ever had this much of a hard time enjoying a book, falling in love with it almost instantaneously. Like, it's really been hard for me this year, and I don't know if that's just because my tastes are changing or it's just because like the books I've been reading have been mid, but having a 5-star read and kind of like the peak of my depression was groundbreaking work. And so yeah, this was really good. If you don't know what Hirayasumi is about, it follows Hiroto, who is a 20-something-year-old guy who is living his best life working at a fish shop, going out with friends, like living a life any 20-something-year-old should be living. And he somehow ends up inheriting his neighbor's house after she passes away, his grumpy old neighbor that he befriends because he's just a really nice guy. And so when she dies, he finds out that she gave him his house. Once he moves in there, he also invites his cousin Natsumi to live with him because she starts school, like some college or university in the same town that he lives in, so it's just easier for her to live with him. And she is having a hard time like making friends and being social, and she's not really close to her cousin anymore. Like when they were younger, Hiroto and Natsumi used to be really close, and he's trying to make a bond with her and it's just not working. And you kind of follow these two cousins as they navigate friendships, their own family dynamic, and definitely a slice of life manga. And I absolutely ate it up. I ate it up. What can I say? I'm a simple girl. You give me slice of life manga, I will consume it. You give me found family, I will consume it. This was so cozy and it was so cute. I can already tell when I continue the manga series, whenever that's going to be, I will fall in love with these characters even more. I'm sure that as each character ends up getting more development, as the story goes on for each of the characters and what's going on in their lives, because we got a little bit of that in the first manga of just not even the cousins, but what their friends are also going through as like background plot, B plot, C plot, whatever. I was so intrigued by this whole entire friend group to be. Yeah, I haven't felt that in a long time, where like a story's characters could get me to feel something like that. Again, peak depression too. Like, you guys don't get it. I did not think that was something that was gonna happen, and it did. And I honestly forgot that I read this because it feels like so long ago when it was only just like 3 months ago, and I kind of want to pick it back up again as I'm explaining it to you. But yeah, I read that on June 18th and I gave it 5 stars. It was definitely a nice book to read to get me out of the headspace I was in, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't read it, go do that. It's not a completed series. I think that the author is still pumping out volumes, but I don't know how many. Go read it. If you want like a cozy slice of life manga that's kind of like lighthearted with really nice life lessons, go read it. I'm telling you, just go read it. You won't be disappointed, I promise. The next book I read was on the tail end of July, actually. Now, this was after I got back from like taking all of my trips around the damn country, and I found out that this book came out and I completely forgot because, guys, this is a book that I put on my most anticipated reads of 2025, and it completely went over my head that it came out during the summer. But when I saw it on the bookshelf at a bookstore, I was like, I have to read this, okay? I ended up reading Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends by Tia Williams. Sorry, internally screaming at my flashbacks of reading this book. When I tell you guys that Tia Williams has yet to fail me, like, this is not me kissing ass. This is very serious work. Tia Williams is the author of 7 Days in June and A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, some of my favorite romances, and this is her YA debut. Remember all the way back in December of 2024 when I made that video of my anticipated releases of 2025, and I mentioned that I didn't know what to expect going into this because it is her YA debut. And since she's never delved into much like this before, I was a little bit hesitant but excited nonetheless. Do you remember when I said all of that? Audrey and Bash is actually kind of a continuation to 7 Days in June, and I did not know that going into it. Maybe I did at the time back in December, but going into it this month in June, like when I read it, I totally forgot that information. So when I opened up the book and I was reading about the characters from 7 Days in June and their lives, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I wasn't mentally prepared for this because I haven't reread 7 Days in June in so long. Just like a new book in this world as a follow-up to that, but in the main character's daughter's perspective, I wasn't prepared. I guess I should explain what it's about before I actually like dive into what I loved about it. This book follows Audrey, who is the daughter of our main character in 7 Days in June. This follows her summer love story with a guy named Bash. Audrey is going through a lot right now. Her home life is a little bit of a mess. She usually ends up going to her dad's house in California during the summer, but due to circumstances, she can't go there, so she's stuck home in New York with her mom and her stepdad and her new sibling, and she just feels like her life is very chaotic right now, and she doesn't feel like she belongs in that house. She doesn't feel like she belongs anywhere in New York. She kind of feels lost. And in comes Bash, a new student to I think her school, or maybe another school, like a rival school of hers, but she knows of him. Everyone knows of him, but no one really knows about him. They've just heard rumors. And he's definitely made a name for himself to the point where Audrey even knows about him. She's never actually had a conversation with him until one day she decides that she needs his help. Audrey kind of wants to be like her mom in the sense where her mom is an author. Again, if you read 7 Days in June, you already know the story of her mother. Her mom is an author. She has written several books, notable award-winning author, and Audrey wants to become an author too. And so she wants to write a self-help book, but in order to do that, she realizes that she needs to like actually do things, like to have like life experiences to do that, and to also just have more fun with her life and do daring things in order to write a self-help book about certain topics. And she asks Bash, the notable bad boy fun guy in town, to help her with these different tasks that she's put herself in. Am I making sense? I don't know why my brain just started like breaking down as soon as I started explaining this book, but basically it's kind of like a friends to lovers situation. They're not friends. Strangers to lovers, grumpy sunshine, with Audrey being the grump and Bash being the sunshine, and it's really, really cute. I gave this book 4 stars. Did I not review it? Oh, that's a crime. What? Oh, I probably wasn't reviewing much in the summer because again, depression. But let me just double check. I thought I reviewed it. Oh, none of my reviews saved. Okay, so I don't actually remember what I said in the moment when I reviewed this book, which is a shame. But I remember really enjoying this book from beginning to end. It took me a minute to get into it because once I realized that I'm back in the world of 7 Days in June, I was kind of like focusing a lot on Audrey's parents and not her story, which was a disservice to Audrey as a character because I don't know if you guys know this, in 7 Days in June, she was a really standout character to me. I kind of saw her as Ava's bratty 12-year-old daughter who is kind of a nuisance, but I adore her. And so to see her in this book, I really try to focus on her and what she's going through, because compared to her relationship that she had with her mom in 7 Days in June versus in this book, it was really hard for me to read at first because it's not the same. Their dynamic and what they're going through separately and together just made me really sad. But then when I focused on the relationship between her and Bash, my heart felt so full. I like the lessons that they taught each other. For Audrey, it was that she doesn't need to be so serious all the time and that she should be able to be honest about how she feels. I don't know what ended up changing with her over the years, because again, in 7 Days in June, she's 12 or 13, and in this book she's, I think, 17 years old, so it's a bit of a time jump. And in the, again, previous book, she was so outspoken and unapologetically loud. And in this book, you could tell that some of her shine is taken away. And so like, I like that in this book, Bash was able to kind of bring that out of her more. Whether their relationship was well balanced. Because usually with YA romances, I like them, but I need to be in the mood for them because they're usually really fast paced. But this one I feel like was nicely paced. The third act breakup that was in it, ridiculous. It was ridiculous and not necessary, which is why I gave it a 4-star. If that third act breakup was not there, I would have given this 5 stars. It deserves to be a 5-star book, but why would you put that in there, Tia? Miss Williams, step up to the front. We need to abolish third act breakups. They add nothing. They add nothing because it ended up getting resolved in the last like 20 pages. So what now? But yeah, Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends by Tia Williams. That's the only book I read in July. So now we can get to the August reads. I think some of these are ones that I actually did reviews for. So you can tell that I was slowly starting to get out of like dark times. Anyway, in August, the first book I read, which is very unserious, but it was a book that was on my anticipated releases for 2025. Though very unserious, it was serious to me, okay? My Return to the Walter Boys by Ali Novik. And what about it? Don't look at me like that. I did read this book. At this point, by the time I'm recording this, the second season of My Life with the Walter Boys has been out for the past few weeks. I wanted to get ahead of the curve, read the book a month in advance, just so I can line up with the timeline, okay? Like I didn't want to be left behind. I did not want to be left behind. So I read this book. I gave it 3 stars. I don't really know what to say. If you don't know what My Life with the Walter Boys is, good for you. Protect your peace. But also it's a comfort show of mine. So like if you were to watch it, I'm not gonna ask that of you though. This book series follows a girl named Jackie who ends up losing her whole entire family in a car wreck and is sent to Colorado to live with Catherine, her mom's best friend, and her family. So the tea with Catherine and her family is that she is the mother of like 10 boys. I'm not making this up. This is not a joke. Catherine has at least like 8 sons, 1 daughter, 2 nephews that live in this house, and Jackie is now a new addition to that. So you can imagine how crazy this book series is, especially because again, it's a YA romance. You can tell what's about to happen, yeah? Yeah. This is a book that has been adapted by Netflix. The show is again a comfort show of mine. I understand critiques. I'm able to take critiques. I don't take this show or the books too seriously. But when I found out that Miss Novak was writing another book for this series, I had to tap in. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I did not read the Wattpad book ever. I was not even aware that this was a Wattpad book. I read the first book when it was published around the time that the show came out, and I felt whatever about that book too. I think I also gave that first book 3 stars. So I was going into this with little to no expectations. Just my love for the show is gonna make me read these books, and it's just as simple as that. Like I wish I had a better reason, but that's all I got, okay? Yeah, I gave this book 3 stars. This book was kind of nothing to me. I didn't dislike it. It was just really, it was a Jackie and Cole book. And spoilers if you care. Jackie and Cole are definitely an endgame couple in this series. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I personally am fine with Jackie ending up with either of the brothers, Alex and Cole, but I am a team Alex truther till the day I die, especially after watching season 2. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So because this book wanted me to root for Cole and Jackie so hard, it wasn't really doing much for me, but I can appreciate their romance enough to give it 3 stars. You know, like I don't really feel strongly about the relationship or this book. If anything, I was more into what the other brothers had going on, like Isaac, who is Catherine's nephew. Isaac and Lee are the cousins of the Walter Boys, and they also live in this house. And the stuff that Isaac was going through with his daddy issues, I would have liked to know more about that, but like I feel like that was barely even a thing. Like it was mentioned maybe once or twice in the book, but then like it wasn't fleshed out enough for me to actually like care enough about it. But I was interested in it, and I wish that Ali Novak did more with that. I feel like with as many characters as this book has, when you have a house full of like all of these teens, you should do more with that. I understand that this is like a romance Wattpad story, but a lot of the characters are interesting, and that's what I do appreciate about this show. It does shed more light on all of the different personalities that you see in this house and what they're going through outside of Jackie's mess. And don't get me wrong, Jackie has a lot of mess. A lot. Her story needs to be told because, girl, a lot is going on with her. But I would like to know more about the others, and that was kind of a letdown for me, but it is what it is. Yeah, I gave that 3 stars, and now we can move on. As much as I would want to say that we're moving on to bigger, better things, that's a lie. I read Married to the Alien Cowboy by Ursa Dax. This is the first book in Cowboy Colony Mail Order Brides series. This was a book that I read for a book club with some friends, and this was not my pick, so no judgment, okay? I read this again to kind of get me out of my reading funk, so I wasn't really being picky with what I was reading. I just wanted to pick up a book and read it. Is it bad that I gave this book 4 stars? This is the kind of book where I could easily turn my brain off and enjoy it. And I think, honestly, that's what I needed at the time that I read it. So I think that's why I gave it such a high rating. But also, the book was not bad. This book follows a girl named Cherry who is kind of running from her demons in a way. In a literal sense, she owes some alien money and she doesn't have it. And so the only way she can escape this guy is to go to a different planet, and she goes to the planet that has, what's his name? A planet that has some alien cowboys, okay? Now these alien cowboys, they're getting mail order brides because they are prisoners on this planet. They have been on this planet for years and years and years with no other civilization, no other people live there, and I guess they're trying to test the system to see if it can handle being involved with other people, because once they leave the planet, they're gonna need to be reintroduced to society, and they've been locked up in this, locked up is such like a loose term for what it is, but they've been housed on this planet for so long that I guess their government just wants to see if they can handle being involved with other aliens, other species, such as humans, because the main character of this book is a human. Yeah, so she ends up leaving the planet that she is on to go to that planet to sign up to be one of the aliens' brides. And the alien that she is attached to, what's his name? Sylar. Alien that she is wed to, his name is Sylar. He's a very quiet, kind of hopeless romantic alien cowboy, and he's a really cutie. He's adorable, and yeah, the story just goes from there. I wish I could give you more, but really there's nothing else with the story. It's a very quick read. It was only 270 something pages. I enjoyed it enough. I thought that the story was fine. I'm not really into cowboy romances. I know that's like a big thing when it comes to like the romance genre. A lot of people like cowboy romances. I feel indifferent to them, but this one was, it's weird how good this was because it was so far out there, and I think it's a completed series too. Like there are, I think, 4 other books. I'm open to reading the rest. I had a good time. I liked the characters. I liked kind of the coziness of it, though the stakes are high because, again, the main character is running from a guy who put a hit on her. The story itself, when she gets to this alien planet, meets Sylar and starts living on his farm and stuff, like, it's a really chill book. There's nothing really going on. It's just them getting to know each other in and out, because again, they're not really familiar with each other or each other's species. Like, they're 2 totally different people, and just getting to see them interact was nice. Yeah, I just gave it a 4. It wasn't gonna get a 5-star out of me, but it was entertaining enough, and entertaining books are what I needed during the summer. So yeah, that was Married to an Alien Cowboy. Okay, now let's get into some real tea. We have a book that is also one that was on my anticipated releases of 2025. You see how I was trying to pump those out back to back? A lot of the books that I wanted to read this year came out during the summer. Once I saw that, I was like, okay, I have to read this. And the sad part about it is this came out in May, and you guys might know that I was reading this because I brought it up in a TBR video, I think, and I finally finished it in August. I read Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is the 3rd book in the Skyland series, the last book in the Skyline series. I'm gonna cry. I'm so sad that this is over, but it needed to end, and wow, it ended with a bang. If you don't know what the Skyline series is about, it's about 3 different couples. Each couple lives in a city in Georgia named Skyland, and it follows 3 girls that are friends. The first book is a second chance romance with a couple that is divorced. The second book is strangers to lovers. I don't know, I don't think there's really a trope with that one. And this one, it's kind of strangers to lovers as well. Each of the books in the series is so good. I highly recommend. A lot of people know Kennedy Ryan, but like the series, please read it if you haven't already. This book follows Hendrix, which was a character that I really was excited to read about, because Hendrix, I think, is my favorite of the friend group, and I've known that for a while. With every book that came out, every glimpse I saw of Hendrix in the other 2 books, I was so excited to get to her book, because she's kind of the friend in the friend group that's a tough nut to crack. Like, she doesn't really want romance. Like, she's happy with her life. She is comfortable in her own skin and being alone. She likes the little empire she's slowly making as a businesswoman. She just doesn't need all of the extra stuff that comes with being in a relationship, until she ends up meeting the one and only Maverick. Yeah, Maverick Bell. And he falls in love with her kind of instantly, and he's like, I'm gonna work to get you. And she doesn't believe him. And then he puts his money where his mouth is. And it's kind of a story that goes on from there, of him trying to get this girl the whole entire book, and her kind of denying that she wants him, but also like having fun with it at the same time, because Hendrix is very much a flirt. So yeah, she's also going through her own side struggles of familial issues with her mom and taking care of her mom, so that's another reason why she denies the relationship. And yeah, it's just like a really good romance book. This series is just so good, and I'm upset that it took me this long to read it. I literally started this book back in May. I feel like I brought it up in a previous video already, but yeah, it took me up until August to read this, because I just was not in the mood to read anything, especially a Kennedy Ryan book. Like I said, this is a good romance, but I feel like it really focused on Hendrix as a character. Again, this is a character that I've always wanted to know more about, and Kennedy Ryan did not disappoint of exploring every aspect of Hendrix. Like I said, she's the outgoing friend, but in this book you get to see all the different sides of her, whether it's her being a businesswoman, her being a daughter, her kind of being a partner, love interest of some sort, her being a best friend. Like, there are all these different sides to Hendrix that make her vulnerability pop out. I liked being able to see her vulnerable around different groups of people, seeing her come out of her shell, which isn't something I would think to say about Hendrix, because you would think a character like Hendrix is already like out of her shell. She's very loud and proud and unapologetic, but you can tell that she really needed to come out of her shell when it comes to how she expresses her love for Maverick as the book went on. And with everything that she was going through and all the different ways Maverick was able to show that he was there for her, I got to see more of that side come out of Hendrix, and I really liked that. As for Maverick, I thought he was a fine love interest. Not gonna lie, a lot of the time he reminded me of the second book's love interest from This Could Be Us. The love interest for that book and Maverick, they're kind of one and the same to me. They kind of behave the same. The only difference is that Maverick is a billionaire. But the other guy in This Could Be Us is also like kind of good on money. Like, he's kind of rich. So yeah, Maverick I thought was fine. I just didn't really see much of a difference between him and the second book's main love interest. But I loved his dynamic with Hendrix and how he was always able to keep up with her in terms of like how she moved in the relationship, the banter that they had, the pace that they were going. He never rushed her. You could tell that he wanted her and was willing to work to get her, and it was lovely to read about. I love it when a man pines. What can I say? This was really good. Again, I gave it 4.75. Exceptional. Kennedy Ryan, please keep writing, never stop. I don't know where I would put it in my ranking. I've always said Before I Let Go is my favorite in the Skyline series, and I don't really know if this is gonna beat it. Like, rating wise, I don't think any of them have been able to beat Before I Let Go, because Before I Let Go is a 5-star and the others have been like 4 or 4.75, which is very close. I'd have to like rethink that, but This book was so good. I'd say it's very close to being even with Before I Let Go, if I were to think about it too hard, which I'm not going to because then my head would hurt, and that's not fun. Okay, is it a few weeks later? Yes. Am I going to finish this video? Yes. I swear I only have 2 books left, okay? It's not my fault that my camera decided to just like die. However, it is my fault that I decided to procrastinate this for weeks to finish this video. So we're just gonna like get it done. I think my next book that I was talking about was Caught Up. That sounds right. No. Yes. What? Okay, the next book I was talking about was Caught Up by Liz Tom Ford, which is the 3rd book in the Windy City series. The big TikTok romance series that's been like taken off by storm in like the past like 2-3 years. I have gotten on the bandwagon. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and if you guys remember, I've enjoyed the previous books in this series. This is the 3rd one. I've read the other 2 and I was thoroughly enjoying myself reading those, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this 3rd one a try, and I surprisingly really liked it. I gave it 3 stars. If you guys don't know what this series is about, it follows 5 different athletes that are based in Chicago. Each book is about like a different sports player. So like the first book was a hockey player, second book was a basketball player, and then the 3rd book and 4th books are both baseball player romances. And they all follow different tropes, of course. So the 3rd book follows a single dad trope. I've talked about this before. I'm not a fan of like kids in my romance books, whether that be like single dad or single mom, whatever. It's just not for me. I've read books like that before and I didn't like them, but something about Liz Tom Ford's writing that I'm beginning to realize, it's just really charming. Like, I don't know how she's managed to make me like this book, and again, it's just 3 stars. Like, it's not like it's like one of my favorites, but the fact that I even gave it 3 stars is crazy. Because I've like committed myself to being a hater of the single parent trope. It's not something that I've ever really enjoyed reading in romance, but Liz Tom Ford, what can I say? This book follows Miller, who is the Chicago baseball team's coach's daughter. Are you following me? Okay. And she is tasked while taking a break from her job to babysit one of the players' sons, because he is too busy being like a highly acclaimed baseball player to constantly raise his son, although he wants to. Flash forward to Kai. Kai is the father of this kid. Kai is just trying to figure out what fatherhood is about because he just got this kid on his doorstep. He is a new father, just found out he was one, and he's just trying to make things work. If you've read the other 2 books, I think you see him in like book 2 or whatever, but you really don't get much about him until Caught Up. And obviously, as time goes on and as Kai gets to know Miller and vice versa, feelings do grow, and Miller is going through like this existential crisis of trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. Even though she's like one of the most famous chefs in the world, she's realizing as she's like being around her dad and this team and Kai and his son that she might not want to do that anymore because it doesn't make her happy, but she also has like expectations that she's putting on herself that makes her really feel like that she needs to do this in order to make others feel proud of her. It's like a whole thing. But yeah, that's the book, at least the basic premise of the book. Liz Tom Ford, you got me hooked, girl. This is one of those few TikTok recommendations that I listened to and I was so surprised. Okay, with every book that I've read by this author in this series, I have been shell-shocked because I'm like, okay, you can't have every book in this series be good. Like, usually when it comes to contemporary romance books, there's always like one that's left out that's like a meh book. And again, I'm saying this as it is a 3-star. It's really good. Like, the only reason I gave it a 3-star was because of like the internal conflict going on with Miller. I just feel like the reasoning behind her not being with Kai was very stupid, and I'm saying this as a girly who also has existential crisis about the future and my life choices and my career and whatever. I totally get it, but Kai's low-key the perfect man, and so I really didn't understand what the issue was. And like, also, she has her dad, who was the coach of this baseball team, who was constantly supporting her and telling her that like these unreasonable expectations that she puts herself in, has these expectations of herself that she doesn't need to, because she just wants to make him proud. And he's like constantly telling her throughout the book that he's already proud of her and she doesn't need to like do this if she doesn't want to do this, you know? Like she has all of these people around her telling her that like it's okay if you want to not do this career anymore, and she's like constantly being like, no, I have to. And it was like, girl, you're self-sabotaging, but also that makes her really human. And because of that, I liked Miller's character a lot. I think that, yeah, my review was the reason that they can't be together for a majority of the book is the classic case of a character standing in their own way. And I feel like that's lazy writing. While I enjoyed Miller's dilemma of trying to figure out her life career-wise, I hate how much that bled into her relationship with Kai. I feel like it made the story drag on for an unnecessary amount of time. Yeah, this book, okay, because it's been a month since I read it, so I had to refresh my memory. This book is around 400 pages long, and you guys know me, I love a long, slow burn romance. Those are the ones I eat up. But if the conflict is like this, where it's always going back and forth, yes and no, I can't fully get into it. It's a conflict that's relatable. Like I said, Miller is human. She has her faults, so does Kai. And yeah, something about that, even though it was like my least favorite part of the book, it still made me really love it. Though I do think it could have been shortened by like 50 pages. All in all though, caught up by Liz Tom Ford, third book in the Windy City series. I really liked it. I kind of want to make this series last as long as possible because it's become like a really fun series for me. And I think the last book just came out like a few months ago, so I'm just going to take my time when reading that. Like I'm not going to start it anytime soon. Liz Tom Ford might be a new favorite author. Who knows? Okay, the last book for this video that I read during the summer was actually a comic. Who's shocked? Who's gagged? Me. I read Absolute All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison, and I read this because I went through a Superman hyperfixation phase when the Superman movie came out back in July, and I was like, you know what, I should read at least one Superman comic, because although I know the basics of Superman, like that's just one of those superheroes that I think everyone knows like the basics about. I've never really fully gotten into his story, and that movie really made me want to, like, I was obsessed during the summer with Superman and David Corenswet. Yeah, so I read Absolute All-Star Superman because a lot of people have said that that's like one of, if not the best Superman comic, and I gave it a 4.5 star. This book follows Clark Kent, or Superman. He, at the start of the comic, saves a group of people that are for some reason going into the sun. Because of this, oddly enough, Superman ends up getting like skin cancer from all the radiation. And the reason why it's odd is because, as you guys know, Superman gets his powers from the sun. So when I first read it, I was like, what? But I guess like he just flew too close to the sun, literally. And yeah, he realized this from his doctors that he has like months to live and then he's out of here. And so for the rest of this comic, this is actually a really sad comic. He ends up just trying to fulfill all of his duties that are needed on Earth. Whether it be like his familial duties, his relationship duties with Lois, his superhero duties, his Clark Kent duties, just like at the Daily Planet. He's trying to make everyone satisfied and happy before he's gone. And yeah, it's a beautiful comic. I gave it a 4.5 simply because like the story all in all was just so heartwarming. I've always thought of Superman as kind of a boring superhero because he's just so cookie cutter and good. All in all, like he's one of those characters that doesn't have any visible flaws. Like he's just a do-gooder because he feels the need to do good. Although that's what a lot of superheroes should be, there really is no like real darkness in Superman. Like he just really wants to help people out of the kindness of his heart, which I think is really wholesome. But because of that, I've always just been like, oh, he's like the basic golden child, like whatever. But in this book, you can see that like he has a lot of internal conflicts of isolation when it comes to like being the only person in the world who can do what he does. And all of that weight is on his shoulders as he feels himself slowly fading away. He's like, who else can help these people when they need it? Who else can like make sure that the world is going to be okay. And it's not even like in a like egotistical way where he thinks that he's the only person who can do it. He's just like, the world has so many problems and I'm only one person, and I just hope that after I'm gone there's someone who's willing to take on these tasks, these risks every day, because humanity deserves someone who's willing to look out for it through the good and the bad, even towards the people who don't deserve it, you know? It made me look at Clark Kent and like the Superman really differently. And again, this might just be because of how much I loved the Superman movie that already had my opinion changing. But then I read this comic and I was like, oh my god. By the end I did cry. I was like, this is like so good that it's stupid. I haven't read a superhero comic in a while. I think the last one I read was Miss Marvel back in like 2023. I think that was the last one. And I used to be a comic buff as a kid. I used to love reading comics, and then I stopped, and I don't know why, because reading this made me kind of want to get back into my comic bag. But yeah, we'll just have to see. This was really good though. The reason I gave it a 4.5 and not a 5-star was because the illustrations freaked me out. The artistic choices, the style, I wasn't a fan. I think the illustrator was Frank Whiteley or Neil Adams, one of them, two of them, whatever. I didn't like their artistic style and the way that they drew the comic. Their drawings kind of freaked me out. It was like uncanny valley sort of illustrations, and I wasn't fucking with it. It was really hard to read the story sometimes, because believe it or not, it took me like 3 weeks to read this. Like the way that they were drawn, I couldn't do it. It made chills go down my spine, but I wanted to finish the story, so I did. It was just like so the story itself, 5 out of 5. As a comic, visually, I would give it like 1 to 2 stars, but because the story was so good, I evened that score out to 4.5. I think that makes sense. Don't ask me how, but it does. And yeah, that's the last book I read in the summer. I read that on August 29th, or finished it August 29th. That's it. That's my video. If you guys enjoyed this, thanks. Let me know what you read during the summer and anything good that I missed while I was gone, because I'm sure that there are a lot of new books that released during the summer that I did not get to, that I'm hoping to get to sometime in the fall, but I don't know. My TBR in the fall is looking pretty thick, I'm not gonna lie, so we'll just have to see. But yeah, I think that's it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.